The Topiary Cat, Chapter 24. Good News. Next day, Grandpa, Richard and Tolly were once more tramping through Haythorne Wood. This time, apart from his torch, Bubba took a pot of yellow paint and a brush, in order to mark trees at intervals along the way, so that his colleagues could find their way on their own. Occasionally they noticed broken bricks in the undergrowth. The plan was to restore the path there, so it would be easier to visit in future. When they arrived at the mound, it all looked much the same as they had last time they visited. The broken door and covering of undergrowth made a sorry sight. No wonder the cat gods were displeased. They ventured in cautiously, but everything looked unchanged, damp, dark and unwelcoming. As they approached the glass dome, Richard was first to note that the sickly yellow light that so disturbed Bastet had now reverted to soft green. The lake clean-up operation had obviously been successful. They rounded the last bend in the tunnel and stopped, transfixed. There, staring straight at them, was the bronze figure of Bastet, seated proudly on the plinth in that unforgettable commanding pose that it had struck when they first found the two lost men in the woods. No movement was apparent, so they went up to the statue and peered closely up at the head, half expecting it to speak. No, there was no sign of life, but they all felt a wonderful sense of well-being, as if a warm blanket of love had been thrown around their shoulders. Tolly, who had up until now been wary of approaching the statue too closely, now jumped up onto the plinth and began to rub himself around Bastet's feet, just as he did to Richard and Katie when food or treats were around. Richard couldn't wait to get back home to the Topiary Cat and share the good news. However, as he rightly guessed, when he came to speak to her, Bastet knew already that the bronze sculpture had returned and that the lake was now clean. Did she really know everything, Richard wondered? Richard, I think my tasks are all going to be carried out to my satisfaction. I have talked to the Colonel, as you know, and he was more receptive than I expected. I shall be going now. What? Stammered Richard, tears welling up. You're leaving me? Please don't go. Oh, Richard, I can't stay here forever. I have to return to be with the other gods. The boy collapsed, sobbing pitifully, so noisily that Tolly came over and snuggled up to him. I think you misunderstand, Richard. Because of your grandfather's skill and the help you have all given me, I have imbued the Topiary Cat with the spirit of your beloved Tolly and some of my own wisdom. I am here on earth only to sort out some of the mess you mortals have made. My task here is finished, so I'm leaving this leafy image behind. Of course the Topiary Cat will always be here, for I have made him into an immortal being. He will be able to keep an eye on things for me, and to be another companion to you. And with that, there was a strange rustling sound, and something unknowable streaked off into the sky. Almost immediately, the Topiary Cat spoke again, but this time with a different voice. Instead of the commanding tone which reminded Richard so much of his mother admonishing him, this was softer and deeper, just the way he imagined Tolly might speak, if only he could. Bastet has gone, Richard. I shall miss her presence, but I will always be here for you, and I hope you will also be here for me. Oh, TTC, I was so scared you were going to leave me forever. I couldn't bear that. Will you always be here in my garden? Not all the time, Richard. I will not always be here in your grandfather's topiary. Just like you, when you go off on your own to school or on an adventure, I have things I need to do for Bastet. I will keep an eye on Mother Nature to make sure she and the cats are being suitably cared for. When you're out and about in the countryside, or even on holiday, keep an eye open, for you might glimpse me in the bushes and trees around. But this is my home. I will always know if you need me, never fear. This had all become such a roller coaster of emotions that the boy would take some time to recover. But Tolly and the Topiary Cat reassured him that all would now be well. His mother and grandfather soon became aware of this change in character of the Topiary Cat. They were, in a sense, rather relieved not to have such a very intimidating being in their own front garden, ordering them to carry out such irksome tasks, no matter how important they might be. Now they had a good and wise listener who still proffered sage advice when required, and also brought some valuable insight into the mind of Richard's beloved Russian Blue. Tolly was profoundly changed after meeting Bastet, becoming more courageous and adventurous than ever. He became a wonderfully patient teacher of the cats now residing at Nefertum Hall, and could often be seen there, sitting in the centre of a circle of his adoring students, with his paw on a captured brown rat. Every now and then he would let the rodent go, and the circle of cats would part. Tolly would run after the rat and catch it again, taking it back into the ring of admirers. He was teaching them all their job, and he was an exceedingly good mentor. In fact, Tolly was supremely good at nearly all he did, apart, that is, from a profound weakness for chicken treats. And Richard, of course. I hope you enjoyed my reading of The Topiary Cat. If you have, please share it and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for listening.